Hello and welcome back to the DayLuna Human Design Podcast with your hosts, Dana and Shayna. Today we are jiving, we're grooving, we're hanging out with old friends, new friends, friends across the world, friends, mom friends, and we're just being moms in this, even Dana.
I
um,
always am. Have you noticed? I'm like, in my experience with motherhood that I haven't
yeah,
gone in yet, but Shayna has, and basically I'm her, so I'm qualified to
literally, like
listen.
actually. Lila has like blonde hair and it's from Dana's frequency. Like it's from your energetics in her life in the womb and also out of the womb. Now she has
Yeah.
blonde hair because
We're gonna study genetics in a new way because this is called like I'm calling it
an aura
quantum
imprint.
genetics.
Mm,
Yeah,
mm.
like where you love someone so much that they start to look like you, which we
Yeah,
already
like your
know is true
in
in other. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So
Exactly.
Isla's your dog and my baby. Um who knows? But we have on a special guest today, Melissa Ambrosini. I've been sing talking a lot, and I don't know what happened. Something came over me. I think it's because I'm a
Mom
mom. I
life?
say that every
Yeah.
fucking second. Every other word is I'm a mom. And I sing to her all the time that now I'm annoying the hell out of myself because I'm constantly like, oh my
Oh.
gosh, like will not stop sing talking. Like put
I
me
thought
out
you
of
were
my
gonna say you're
misery.
annoying I left by sing talking. She
Oh
still
no.
loves it.
No, she still loves it.
What
So,
annoys her? I'm curious.
mm, mm, too many kisses, especially
Oh,
from Brian because he's got like scruffy on his face, and she'll be like, like that
she's like,
scratchy."
exfoliate, dad,
Yeah, like, "Why is your
please.
face so scratchy?" And so, like, if she's trying to look at something and you're trying to kiss her, she'll be like, "Excuse me? Like, you've gotten 10
Oh,
kisses already, like, I'm trying to learn and grow my brain and develop."
oh, I hear
And
that.
yeah, yeah, but we still do it. Like, she survives. That's her trauma, getting kissed too much as a baby. Um, oh my gosh. Well, who do we have on today, Dana?
Today we have on Melissa Ambrosini for the second time, and this is a really fun conversation. We go into motherhood, but we also talk about really like building your dream life and seeing what that really looks like for you. We talk a lot about how the new paradigm of business is all about building something that works for you and being able to serve the world and share your gifts, but in a way that is aligned with your own creation of your life. And so it's cool. We get to really dive into, these two ladies being mothers and being entrepreneurs. And we talk a lot about some of the really important questions to ask yourself to actually get clear on how you can build a business without burnout and also build a life that reflects who the person that you really want to be today or in this next season. So, a little bit about Melissa. If you don't already know, she is a best selling author, entrepreneur, motivational speaker, life coach, and self love teacher. She teaches women how to create a heart centered business and a life that inspires them.
Okay, so without further ado, let's welcome back on Melissa Ambrosini. We loved our conversation with you last time, and last time we spoke, I was pre-baby. You definitely inspired me getting into my conception journey and then, of course, birthing Isla and just getting more conscious about motherhood and about bringing a life in through my body. And my conception with Isla was honestly one of the like favorite moments of my life. It was so sacred, and I had a whole conception ceremony, and I spent like 5 months before conceiving, like really detoxing and getting my body all primed up, like physically, but also spiritually and emotionally. And me and my husband really bonded so much during that process. So, anyways, I love everything that you teach. And I think it's really important work. Like, I think maybe arguably the most important work is what we can do to support ourselves when we are bringing in new life. And then, of course, the once that life is here, it's like, holy shit, it's a whole new world and it is intense, like the most intense thing I have ever experienced. I don't know how there's more than one child alive, like how we didn't just go extinct. But at the same time, it's so beautiful and amazing. So yeah, we have so many questions. There's so much that we want to get into, but I just want to open up the floor to you. First of all, how are you doing today? And also, what's new?
Well, I had a baby too since we last spoke, which is so exciting. So his name is Prince and he is 5.5 months. And so I've got Bambi, who's 4, and Prince, who's 5.5 months. I also have a stepson who is 19 years old. So I've
Wow.
got like that end, and then I've got the real young end. So yeah, that's what's new in my life. And I'm just so excited to be here. I love you girls so much. I love your work. I love human design. So this is going to be juicy.
Ah, that's so exciting. Talk about a crazy stretch there with 5 months and 19 and then your little sweet Bambi there in the middle at 4 years old. That's just it's so beautiful. How are you feeling 5 months postpartum and also being, a badass business owner and operating your whole world? Like how are you feeling with everything?
This postpartum has been so different, completely different. And everyone says that each child is it's different. Of course they're different. Of course. But I don't know why I thought it would be exactly the same. I
Mhm.
just did. I just thought I would feel the same. I thought it would be the same. And it's been completely different in stretching ways, but also in really beautiful ways as well. So yeah, I mean, I don't remember the sleep being so hard with Bambi. Like, I don't, and I think I was in a different phase of my life where it was like my postpartum with her felt like I was on a retreat. My husband was fully present. We were able, like, we did the 40-day lying in period, and it was literally like a retreat. We had a meal train. We had a cleaner. Like, I gifted myself a cleaner to come every week. That was my gift to myself postpartum. And I was like, this is so luxurious. Like, I've got a cleaner. I've got meals being delivered. Like, my husband is right by my side. We were in this love bubble and it was just beautiful. Like, when the 40 days ended, I cried. I was like, I don't want to go back out into the world. Like, and this was during COVID too, like the end of COVID. So I was like, I just want to stay in this love bubble forever. Then with Prince, completely different because I have a toddler. I didn't want to do the 40-day lying in period. I wanted to be out I didn't go out much, but like I wanted to be still with Bambi. And no one talks about the grieving process that happens. Like, I remember one specific day, I was upstairs breastfeeding in the middle of the day in the dark room, crying my eyes out because I could hear Bambi downstairs laughing with our nanny. And I just felt so much grief for that relationship the way that it was. And no one really talks about that. So that kind of knocked the wind from underneath me, the grief that I experienced whilst being so madly in love with this tiny little bundle and also grieving at the same time. It was wild. I just did not expect that. No one spoke to me about that. Um,
Totally.
and and also, like, my postpartum was my recovery in some aspects was so much quicker with Prince. So quick. I had a 6-hour birth with Bambi at home in the water. I had an hour and a half birth with Prince at home in the water.
Oh
An
my
hour and a
gosh.
half, ladies. Like, it was like
Wow.
he was coming and he came earlier. And
Wow.
so he just wanted to be here, which is just so beautiful. And so my recovery, I had no tearing. My recovery was so quick physically. Um, but also, like, when a baby comes quick, it's like it comes with like it was intense. It was like a lot.
Right.
Um, and yeah, so I had to kind of process that. But also then my recovery in terms of like my womb was really quick, but my body, it took a lot longer for my body this second time to um come back in. The womb has to close and everything to come back in, and so it took a lot longer. And I was like, oh, I was comparing the first time that didn't happen the first time. So there's so many things that were different, and in a really stretching way, and like I said before, like, and in a really beautiful way. So I'm just navigating this new world of two children. And like, I want to be like the best mother that I can be. Like, that is such a priority for me. It's one of, family is one of my core values. And so now I'm kind of like, how can I fill up both children? How can I make sure both children's needs are being met, and my husband's and mine and my business, and still be the friend that I want to be? So it's just like, how do I make sure everyone feels really full and all of their needs are being met? Um, Especially because, Bambi's at that age where, being 4, she remembers everything. And so, someone told me before I got pregnant, no, before I gave birth, sorry, that if both children are crying, give the newborn to your husband or your partner and go to your toddler, because they will remember it, and the baby not so much will remember, that someone else is holding them. It doesn't really, as long as someone's holding them. And so I kind of remembered that, like, because there was times where she was like, I want you, mommy, I want you, and I'm like trying to hold the crying, like, Prince who's crying. So I'm like, just give him to papa, and then let me go to her, and then I can go back to him. But just little things like that. It's like, logistically, it's like, how can you like do both? And you can, and we're amazing. Women are so amazing. But yeah, like, learning this new dynamic. It's been fun, and it's been yeah, just a whole new world. And then adding in businesses in there as well.
It is its own baby, its own being, and thing to nurture. Yeah, that's so interesting hearing you share your experience, and definitely that's the first time I've heard someone talking about the grief that comes with that relationship. And I can only imagine there's so many things in this process of becoming a mother that I'm like so stretched and in awe of the complexities that I experience in any given moment of like, and that's such a perfect example of like, being so in love with your new baby, but also feeling so sad to be missing out on a moment with your first baby. And I feel that with Isla and her nanny in general. I felt like, gosh, I hope she loves the nanny, so that way I can go and I can work. And then now she loves the nanny and she like nurses on me and then reaches for the nanny. And I'm like, hold on. Like, I don't want, like, now I'm sad because you want to go to her. And like, it's just so complex that I can't get there's just no way to box it in where like into categories like I was used to doing with a lot of things in my life before having kids. And now all of my emotions, all of my feelings, all of my strategies and thoughts and whatever is so stretched in all different directions that it's like there's no such thing as a box anymore. Like we're here, we're flowing with it. And it's pretty magical, but it's also like intense. Like an intense magical initiation, up level, all the things. So I love hearing your experience. And you also have a new offering, which is a new baby in and of itself too. So I don't know how you're doing all the things. Remind me your design again. I need to pull up your chart. I'm having our assistant find it, but remind us just your like overview of your like type and profile if you know it.
I'm a 3-5 generator.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So you got
Amazing. Which
that
so
sacral
is
energy helping you a bit.
Shayna's daughter, by the way, a
Yeah.
3-5 generator. I just
Mhm.
had to say. So we have a new 3-5 in our lives, and we are here for it because we didn't have any 3-5s in our close circle before, and now we do in our little DayLuna family.
Oh, I love that. Oh, that's so beautiful. Yeah, so and Bambi is a manifesting generator, Nick is a manifesting generator, and then Prince is a projector.
Oh,
Oh,
like
plot
Shayna and
twist.
I. Wow, I love it. So
Which is so
cool.
beautiful. Yeah, and he's got such a beautiful personality. It's so, so, so beautiful. Um, and just going to be interesting watching the dynamic.
Totally. Such a different way of, and it's interesting seeing how you've had such different experiences already postpartum with their energy types. That's really fascinating. I'm like, I have so many questions, but I won't get into his whole sleep schedule and everything. But yeah, it's so interesting to see. And I know when I have a second child, I'll be comparing their charts so much because it's just every child is so different. But then seeing it through the lens of human design, I found to be so helpful with Isla. And I'm just curious if there's going to be a contrast like how you have with a projector and a man gen. That's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. So, so different. I always thought like Bambi was going to be this really soft, like not soft, but I thought she was going to be like really quiet and like almost like a bit shy. Because Leo, who's my stepson, he's a projector as well.
Mm,
So he's like very, he just doesn't need to be in the spotlight. He is just so happy to just like, you know, just be there and not take the, not like the Manny Gens and the generators, that want to be on center stage. And I just thought like because of him that Bambi would be similar. And no, she is like main character energy, full
yep.
main character.
I love it. That's so fun. Yeah, we always say that if there's an emoji sequence that encapsulates the energy of a man gen, it would be like the person doing a cartwheel with rainbows and sparkles trailing behind them. Like they just come with such a sparkly inspiration, like packing a lot of punch kind of energy. So it's really cool to see that even from such a young age. And, it's just so interesting. Like when we talk about all aspects of our lives, parenthood and like the conception journey and, business and earning money. Like we just want to bring intention and consciousness into literally every aspect of our lives. And something that I think is really interesting in the new paradigm or like the new world that we're building is that our family unit and our own awareness journey are inseparable from our business journey. Like it all plays a role because we're coming into this era where things are more individualized and we want to bring that consciousness into all aspects. And so it's just so fascinating for me to see how our family unit and like understanding the differences in our family life then will impact how we build our business to serve us as an individual. Like all of those different factors matter for each person, and then there's a way to build your business where you feel like your business is in harmony but also sort of like in response to who you are and to who the people around you are. So like for me, for example, my business partner being Shayna and her having this 3-5 generator daughter, like that now changes the way that we run our business, because of her life as a mother and then having this daughter with this new energy. And I'm really here for that. Like, I want businesses to be reflecting our true and full selves. And, like you were saying, family being such a huge value point in your life, something that you value so much. So, of course, the individual building their business, they're going to reflect their values into what they're creating, into the content that they're sharing, into the way that they're helping the world. And this holistic picture of all of these things getting to exist together and us getting to share our messages and our medicine with this really holistic energy. It's just really cool. It's really exciting because I feel like in the old paradigm, we do separate things and sever things and put those things into boxes. Like Shayna was saying before motherhood, like things fit in neat, different, separate boxes in her life. And then post motherhood, it's like it all has to be one big painting on one big canvas. And there's no such thing as perfect, separate little boxes anymore. It's all about balancing the entire whole. And it's really cool to see how parenthood, I think, sort of initiates you into bringing that level of consciousness and individualism into your business even more because you're almost like forced to. Like you cannot run a business in the old paradigm way and be a conscious parent at the same time. Like we have to change the structures in the way that we're doing it. So I'm really excited to talk about this conversation today because I definitely think that there's so much about parenthood in general that teaches all of us to step into building business in a way that reflects our whole and true selves and the people in our lives and the things that really matter to us.
Yes, absolutely. And now this is what I teach other women to do.
Yeah.
So with my company, SheLaunch, which helps female coaches and consultants grow and scale their business without the burnout, it is all about helping that person. And a lot of them are mothers, but not everyone is a mother, but a lot of them are mothers, and they have their soul work that they want to do in the world, and they want to do it on their timeline and still make the money that they want and still have the impact that they want. And that is what I wanted. I was like, when I first met my husband, I knew that I wanted to have babies with him. And I was like, what do I want my life to look like? And so we waited like 8 years before we actually even had kids. And maybe it was 7 years, 7 years before we had kids because we weren't, neither of us were ready. And then it dropped in and we were like, yes, let's go. But in that time, I was like setting up my life and my business for how I wanted to be, how I wanted to parent. And for me, it's like, I love my work so much. I love my podcast, writing books, speaking on stages, coaching, mentoring. Like, this is my soul's work. And when I had Bambi, I really sat with, am I wanting to be a stay-at-home mom? Because that comes up, and I don't know if that's come up for you, but it definitely came up for me. Like, do I want to be a stay-at-home mom? And the answer was no. Like, I love what I do so much, and so many of my friends are stay-at-home moms, and they love it and they thrive, and that is lights them up so much. And yes, being a mother lights me up, and I love my work so much. So how can I do both and still have the impact and the income that I really want in this world? And so I really sat with that, and I got really clear on, what does that look like? How many hours a day am I working? What does my day look like so that I can still do my work and still be the present mother that I want to be? Like, what does that actually look like? And how much do I want to be making? What impact do I want to be having? And so that's why I set out to create that for myself. And so then that's why I created SheLaunch, to help others do the same thing.
Amazing. Yeah, I definitely resonate with everything that you're sharing. And I think that there's so many women and mothers, and but also business owners or anyone with a dream or a vision that resonate, like, oh, should I just do what other people in my life they're happy with?
Mm.
And I have this dream or I have this vision or this calling, but like, shouldn't I just be happy with what I have? And it's like, yes, and at least for
Mm.
me in this motherhood journey, I have so many friends, like you said, who love being a mother, want to be a stay-at-home mom, and they're so lit up, like you said. And there's been so many times where I'm like, she needs me all the time. Like, she needs me. Should I just do that? And my answer is no. And it's always been no. And it's like, no, my soul loves the work that I do and wants more and wants to, and I don't want to say wants more as if it's not enough to want to just be home. I think that's like, honestly, so much and so incredible. But I just, my soul has a purpose, and gosh, that sounds bad. I don't mean it in a condescending way, but you know what I mean? Like, I have a very clear vision and dream of things that I want to do in my life. And then you have this very real physical thing that stops you in your tracks and forces you to be like, okay, how are you going to make this work? And what is that really going to look like? And can you do all of it? Because energy, resource, especially as a projector, aren't unlimited. And so I think that it's really beautiful, the SheLaunch, this creation that you've made to help people really still commit to their dreams and get that clarity and still move forward and not get stuck by necessarily like their life circumstances, their day-to-day life. I feel like the day-to-day life is something that somebody said to me like recently, like the muckiness of being a human, like the muckiness of being in a physical body and giving birth really shows you, like brings you down through that. Especially like I had a more traumatic birth and my body is still healing. Um,
Mhm.
and so I've had a lot of lessons about like being physically here. And I think that for a lot of people, especially in this more spiritual space, the day to day can get into the way so much and derail people a lot of the time from really building their dreams and launching that thing or going after that thing because it's like easier. And you see a lot of people, I want to say 90% of the world, just doing that, doing what's right in front of them, doing what's comfortable and accepting what they're given, but not like accepting it and continuing forward with their dreams or what they're wanting to build.
Yeah, absolutely. My midwife said something to me when I was pregnant with Bambi, and this might be of value to you, just because of what you said about your nanny before. And she said to me, Melissa, let other people love your baby. And I was like, no, no, no,
Mm.
no, 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 no. Like, I want to be with her 24/7. I'm going to be like, she's just going to be right near, right with me. And she said, let other people love your baby. And she was referring to like my parents and Nick's parents. Because, you know, before I had her, I was like, this is how I want to parent. This is what I want to do. And like, and she was just like, let other people love her. And
Wow.
that has stuck with me so much in those times where, you know, if you think, well, you know, the nanny's there and I should be there, it's like, it's okay to have other people love on your children. Of
Mm.
course, the right people, you know, of course.
Yeah.
But it's okay that they feel that love from everybody. You know, if you think back to your childhood, I felt so much love from my next door neighbor. She loved me, like from my aunties, from my cousins. Like I felt so much love from certain people, and obviously my mom and my dad. But we can all go back to our childhood and you know exactly who you felt that love from. And the
Mm.
more people, the better. The more people, the better. And I
Wow.
also wanted to say that, you know, if you don't want to do internal personal development spiritual work, then don't have children, because like it is like personal development on steroids. It's like, okay, you don't need to go to like Tony Robbins' Date with Destiny. Like, just have kids. Like, you get
Literally.
no, definitely go do Tony Robbins' Date with Destiny. It's amazing.
But
Um,
having kids will be more intense for sure.
honestly, like it is such, and I've done Tony Robbins, and I think it's amazing.
Same, same.
It's just like, you know, letting go of control, practicing flexibility, like all of these things that our ego holds on to keep us quote unquote safe. When you become a parent, you have to move through those things. And I saw this thing on Instagram that like got me right in the heart. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on this too. But this was a guy, and he was a new dad. I think his baby was like maybe a few months old, and he was commenting on that the saying where a lot of parents are there like, I would die for my children, I would die for my children, I would die for my children. And he's like, yeah, like, are you just saying that, or like he was kind of like wanting to get a bit of a shift on this, because he's like, okay, so many people say they'll die for their children, but will you live fully for your children? Will you move through your trauma for your children so you don't pass that on? Will you heal your inner child wounds so that you don't pass that on? Like, will you live fully and show up fully for yourself, for your children? And it just got me in the heart,
Mm.
because yes, we do all of this internal work for ourselves, and we do it for our children so that we don't
Mhm.
pass it on. And it just got me because so many people throw that line around, I would die for my
Mhm.
kids, I would die for my kids. But will you live
Honestly,
for your
because
kids?
it's
Will you
easier.
do, yeah, will you face your demons for your
Yeah.
children?
Yeah. Well, and because like dying for them is like some like if something were to happen in the future that who knows it maybe could never happen, but like right now available to you to do in this very real moment is heal your inner child, is choose yourself and live your dreams and show up in that best way possible for your child. And that requires effort and work, and it's not as easily honorable as like I would take a bullet for them. Like I would die for
And
them.
And it reminds me of the phrase, like, everybody's gonna die, but not everybody lives. Like
Mhm.
that phrase, it's like heightened times a million when you have, like, you know, people say when you enter into romantic partnership, like that's going to trigger all your wounds and you're going to have to do all your healing. And then what you're saying with parenthood is like, it's time that times 1000. And you're
Yeah.
faced with that. Everyone's going to die, but not everyone lives times a million. And it's so true. I was just thinking about passing on your trauma or not and being the cycle breaker this morning. I was talking with my husband, and his dad's getting older, and he was, you know, his dad is really like had a lot of childhood trauma and it just tries to pass it all on to my husband. My husband's like, I wish my dad could heal this before he's done in this lifetime. And I'm like, unfortunately, there's nothing you can do as his son to make that happen. But you know what you can do is you can hear what you're saying right now. And when you have kids, you can remember that you do have control to be the one who changes it. Like, unfortunately, you can't change your parents, you can't change other people. That's out of your control. But what is in your control is doing it for yourself. So I'm going to remind you when you're 70 and your
Mhm.
child is 30 to see if you did it and if you're doing what you're asking your father to do. And like, you know, it's just that deep, like, bigger thing. And I think that right now is such a pivotal time in the world where people are having conversations like this and having the
Mhm.
opportunity to do that. But it is so true that it's like that is the greatest spiritual warrior, light worker, warrior shit that you could ever do, is to truly live, truly heal all of that stuff as a parent so that you're not passing it on, no matter what you received, what you got from your lineage.
100%. And I feel like our generation, we are the cycle breakers.
Yeah.
And the next generation, like our kids, like they are light workers, like
Yeah.
They're
truly, like
building
they
it.
are,
Totally.
Yeah.
they are like,
Came
I've got
in
full
with some
goosebumps.
rainbow sparkles. Yep.
I've got, yeah, I've got full goosebumps all over my body. And so, like, I feel like it really is on us to break this stuff. And like I was saying to my husband the other day, like, my parents are, you know, they're very similar, they're set in their ways. And I've tried to give them feedback or, you know, share how I feel about certain things with them. And I love my parents, we're really close, but they don't want to look at their stuff, and that's okay. It's not, it's, you know, that's their journey. And then like I had this thought and I shared it with my husband. I was like, I truly hope, and can you please hold me accountable to this, that if as we grow, if any of our children come to us and say, Mum, I would love to give you some feedback on this, if I get defensive, can you please, like, can you please mirror to me? Like, I want, if my kids come to me, I want to be like, thank you so much for shining that light. I want to pivot. I want to grow. I want to evolve. And, and I want to be that person. Like, if they give me feedback about something, I want to hear it and I want to grow and evolve. Where I think our parents' generation are like, they don't want any feedback, and they don't want to change the way that they are, and that's okay. But like, on reflection, that's not the parent I want to be in that space. In that respect, I
Right.
want to be
Yeah.
someone who can take the feedback and become better, a better parent because of it.
So
Yeah.
true. I feel the same thing all the time. I'm like, can we have a code word that you can remind to my husband, like you can say when I'm getting older and I'm forgetting, like, you know, taking everything that you're feeling now and just really applying it to your own life, because that is the life that you have control over, the life that you can consciously change or heal. And, you know, with other people, all you can do is love them on their journey, but you can take that stuff that you see and then apply it to your own life. And it takes the work and the effort and the intention.
And I do
Yeah,
feel
I know.
really, really grateful that, we are in the generation that we are, because looking back through the generations, like our parents are their parents, it wasn't even something that you talked about. Like it was just silently
Yeah.
went through, and it wasn't even something that they could bring up to them and talk about
Or
it. And now
even
with,
didn't have the vocabulary. Like literally
yeah,
some of the words that we use, boundaries, anxiety, like the word did not exist in the
gaslighting,
vocabulary.
narcissism, yeah,
Yeah, even in
did
our
not
parents'
exist.
generation, but in our grandparents' generation, like nobody was like, "How's your anxiety? How are your boundaries with your mother-in-law?" Like
Yeah.
those sentences were never uttered.
It
And
was
yeah,
just
not
all
spoken
it
about.
was all suppressed. It was
Yeah.
all
Yes.
just swept under the carpet, swept under the carpet, swept under the carpet.
And no
And yeah.
awareness.
Mhm.
Yeah, no awareness of it. And then now our parents' generation, like we are talking about it with them, which they didn't do with their parents. But there is that defensiveness because it's like, how dare you bring this up to me? I would have never done that with my parents. And I feel grateful to be in the generation that is breaking so many cycles and is getting to birth these light babies, like you were saying, the generation that is here to help build after the crumbling. Like we're part of the crumbling generation.
Ripping it
Pluto and
down.
Scorpio generation is like all the millennials. We're here to rip it down and crumble it down. So that way, these lighter beings, these beings who are less conditioned, can come in and say, okay, this is what we're going to rebuild. And this is what is okay or respectful or loving or compassionate or inclusive or whatever that is. And of course, it's going to get even more and more um, broken down, but and more inclusive. But it's really fascinating to see. And I feel like, okay, I'm grateful that I can have the awareness and the education to be able to say, like to have the self accountability, like radical self accountability, and owning my shit without projecting it onto someone else or feeling triggered because somebody brought something up. Like I feel so strong, like in um I feel so strong in my own self love that somebody giving me a criticism in general could never rattle me. Like it just couldn't rattle
Mhm.
me, like my love for myself. So
Mhm.
it's always just adding on more like, oh, interesting. Thank you for that reflection. And huh, okay, that was probably scary to bring that to my attention, but I'm gonna like I hear you, I see you, I value your insight. And it doesn't mean that I have to like take it on and change my whole life, but it's not gonna keep me from loving myself, because I do think that the more that you hold yourself accountable, that is self-love. Um,
Mhm.
and you show up better in your relationship. So yeah, I feel just grateful. I feel grateful and I feel excited to see what my baby's generation is going to be like. Because for sure
Hmm.
her kids are going to be like, gosh, grandma's generation was fucked up
Those
or
old
something.
cycle breakers, they didn't even know all these new words that exist. And it's cool to
Yeah.
have this conversation and to find gratitude for that healing journey, because I feel like it can feel heavy sometimes, you know, like it's a lot to unwind or a lot to heal, and that healing takes energy. But it's really nice to have this conversation where you genuinely feel grateful, like it's an opportunity that we have because of the time that we're in. And it also brings me back to like creating business. I mean, there has never been more opportunities ever to create the life that you want to, with the technology that we have, with the awareness that we have, with the freedom that a lot of us have, the opportunities that we have. Like it's just really exciting actually to live in a time where we can start to build a world that works for us, or like build a business that works for us. I will say, however, that all of that freedom I think can be overwhelming for people. Like it's like you could do anything in any format and there's no rules that can define you. And then I think people feel a bit overwhelmed by that. Like, okay, then where do I start? Or how do I know what's real or right for me? And I love what you said in the beginning, Melissa, about just like starting with the questions, like honestly asking yourself, what does my dream life look like? Like if I am that free and I do have an opportunity to build a life or a business that is working for me instead of me working for it, then what do I actually want? And I feel like most people don't even get that far because asking that question to yourself is confronting. It's confronting like your old conditioning, it's confronting your worth. You know, sometimes we have that old conditioning of like, who am I to have a life that I love and to have a life that's free? And so I'm curious to ask you, like, when people are wanting to bring this opportunity to like genuinely create their dream life or their dream business or their dream career, where are the first places that you recommend people starting?
Yes, this is such a good question because, yeah, a lot of people, they don't actually sit down and go, what do I want? What does my dream business look like? What does my dream motherhood journey look like? And it changes. Like through each year, each season, it changes. So like my husband and I, we've like recently just sat down and we're like, is this our dream life? Are we on path? Like, what needs shifting? I think we need to shift that. I don't think we need to keep doing this. What about this? What about where we live? What about, all of the things? Is this how many hours you want to work? Are you enjoying that? What about your hobbies and your passions? And like constantly just tuning in and asking these questions is so important because we're always evolving and we're always growing and changing. So I think the first step is you sitting down with a pen and paper and saying, what does this look like? Turn off social media and don't look at what anyone else is doing and
Mm-hmm.
look at your own life. Like, am I living where I want to live? Am I doing work that I want to do? Am I working the amount of hours I want to work? Am I the parent that I want to be? Am I doing my hobbies? Like, go through every area of your life and ask that question because you will be shown so much gold when you stop and take a moment to really reflect on that. And so, yeah, my husband and I, we just built our dream home. We've spent 3 years building this place. And it was a huge project, and we're finally in. It was not meant to take 3 years, but it took 3 years. And it's been such a huge project. And now we're here. We're like, is this where we want to be? Like, is this it? Like, like we're just every question, like everything is put on the table. Is this how much you want to work? Like all of these things. So I think keep asking these questions of yourself and of your partnership, and do it regularly because things shift and change, but you've got to actually sit and start and go inward and work out what feels right and in alignment for you in this season of your life.
And I
Yeah.
think that's the key this season of your life
Yeah.
because I something I was literally talking about this morning with my sister-in-law is like that's the story of my life. It's like, okay, I want this thing and I did it and I got it and now what? Like now I want
Is
to
this
change it.
still what I want?
And
Yeah.
or now I want to shift it and I was like, you know, in this moment right now, I know that this new thing is aligned for me. And am I going to want to change that in a year? Am I going to want to um like come back to where I was? I'm talking about specifically moving. But it applies to anything. Like in this season of my life, I know that this is right and things are going to be changing and evolving every single year like you said, all my whole life. So can I just change and evolve with it and not be afraid that if it changes and evolves in the future, am I going to regret or am I going to whatever? Like I'm going to change and evolve then too. And if I need to pivot then I'm going to pivot then. And can I be brave enough to just follow that and take action towards it instead of just like noted, but I already committed to this thing and I'm here now, like in kind of a similar, like more details way. Like we just built, like renovated our whole house and built a nursery and got all of the things with for Isla. Like everything we need is here and it's like so amazing. And then we just took Isla on, we had an Egypt retreat for 2 weeks. We just got back like a week ago and we took 30 women through Egypt and it was incredible, amazing. And I brought Isla, I brought my husband, um, and I brought my sister-in-law to help with her. And it was just so incredible. We went to Paris the week before that, and all of it just felt like I love traveling with her. I
Mm.
love traveling with my baby, and I don't need all the fucking toys I bought her. Like, I don't need the crib that I and all the fucking wallpaper. Like, I don't need any of that shit. Like, I just need to be experiencing different cultures with her and different food and seeing how adaptable she is. And it was just such a like something I've been percolating on for a few years, like living that way, like a few months in different countries. But that really just gave me that final like clarity, like this, I can do this with a 9-month old. And I did. And now I want more of it. And so it is that question, like, am I gonna regret that? Or like, but I think it's really helpful to hear that like things are going to be shifting and changing no matter what in a year from now or in 2 years from now. So like buckle up, bitch. That's kind of how I feel.
Yeah, totally. We were exactly the same. We spent 3 years building this, and we're not like packing up tomorrow, but we're like, do we want to travel? Do we want to do van life? Do we want to go to Europe? Like all of the things. So I get it. I get it. And it's beautiful that we have choice.
Yes. Yes. And like ability to like listen to our own truth and like checking in, asking those questions. I love the questions that you presented because I think everybody listening can really just right now like start asking those questions in their life to like really get an answer. Um and you gave people that have a sacral authority or a sacral engine something to respond to, which is amazing because I think for us projectors, we can be thinking about it, but not really like asking those questions and journaling it around it. For all of us, we can do that. But I think that you offered some really good prompts to get people started.
And I
Yeah.
just think that what you were saying about earlier, like being the cycle breaker, and when you're older, you want to make sure that you're still evolving and healing and taking in, new insight from your children. It kind of prompts this idea to me that I know on a spiritual level that our goal here is to experience and to evolve and to grow. Like, I really feel and know that to the depths of my soul. Like, that is one of the big purposes of life, is to experience and to evolve, to learn, to grow. And I think that one of the things I see making people the most unhappy is when they have started to say no to evolution. I feel like
Mm.
when we're really young, it's like natural. We know we're going to keep growing. We know we're going to keep evolving. We know we're going to keep asking new questions and trying new things. But I definitely see people kind of choose a date. Maybe it's 30 years old for some people, maybe it's 50 years old for some people. But I feel that people do like choose a date where it's like, I've evolved enough. I've asked enough questions. I've reevaluated enough. I'm just going to stay here because it feels safer. And our
Mm.
egos come in and, really reinforce that story that it's safer to stay the same and to avoid change or to avoid evolution. But, going back to that core understanding that I have, like, that is what makes life alive, is the fact that it's moving, changing, growing, evolving. So I think that there's a larger like spiritual work or inner work here about really knowing that evolution is what keeps us alive and vibrant and what keeps our life feeling connected to ourselves, connected to source, connected to one another, is like when we allow ourselves to grow and change. And so I feel like it's a really good reminder for people listening to just kind of check in, like, is there any fear around asking those questions or reevaluating? Like, are you reevaluating less than you were before? And how exciting would it be if you let yourself just ask those new questions and allow yourself to pivot?
Yes, yep. I have a friend, I want to tell a quick story. I have a friend who her dad got diagnosed with cancer, and she was like, Dad, let's get you healthy, let's get you juicing and organic food and meditating and cleansing the body and all of these things. And he literally said, it's too hard. I don't want to change. I still want to go out to dinners and eat what I want to eat and drink the alcohol I want to drink. So I'm going to get the cancer cut out, and I want to keep living my life. And, you know, like that is like what you were talking to is like some people get to a point where they're like, I don't want to evolve anymore. I don't want to grow. Like maybe it's the end of year 12 where you're like, close your textbooks and the learning is done. No
Mhm.
more reading, no more evolving, no more growing. And that is definitely not what, you know, I feel like we're here for. So, you know, how can you be here and have the journey that we're meant to have? Like you said, we're meant to evolve. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. Growth and evolution is why we're here.
Mhm. Yes. Aho. I have a few questions about your SheLaunch. I have questions about um really how you launched this new thing in motherhood. And I know you mentioned that you've used your human design to up level in your business. I think our audience would love to hear a bit about that. And also, like, your key in moving business forward as a mom. I know a lot of it's like you learning from your own experience, but then I'm sure seeing through working with so many clients too. I'd love to just get some of your insight and wisdom in that realm.
Yes. So I have to like the one of the reasons why the business launched well actually no, it launched before. Yeah, no, it launched way before I gave birth. So but one of the reasons it was able to keep going was because of how I've set it up. Like how I have set up the funnels, I've set up the structure. So it is like all automated and ticking over. And that's the business that I wanted. I wanted to be able to still be making money whilst I was on maternity leave. So, you know, your
Mm,
funnels are really important. But and also, and this is really important too, is like support. You know, like my husband is the CEO of my business, of our business. He is an incredible musician, but he's also a serial entrepreneur. Like he is a true manifesting generator, where he's got his fingers in millions of different pies. He is an investor. He's into crypto. He's like all of the things, but his soul work is his music. You should definitely go and check him out on Spotify, Nick Broadhurst. It's beautiful, beautiful music, and so he's also the CEO and overseas, and so I had him, you know, keeping the finger on the pulse whilst I was in on maternity leave, which is really, really powerful. So support, and it doesn't have to be your partner. It could be a, you know, business partner or any of your team, but you need support, like in business and in motherhood and in life. Like
mhm.
we don't have to do it alone. And I think the more you can get really good at, and I say master your inner mean girl who says, oh, you can't ask for support, or you need to like do it all on your own. You need to master that voice and get really good at asking for support and then receiving it, because some people can then ask for it but they really struggle receiving it. I have no issues. I have done so much work on this, and my mum was like a gold medalist people pleaser and cannot ask for or receive help. And so I had to really unlearn that. But for me, I have done so much work on this that like I have no issues. Like this is one of my strengths, is like I have no issues asking for help and receiving help. None at all. And it's because I've gotten over the story that I should be able to do it on my own, like that inner mean girl story. Like, no, we were meant to do this in tribes and villages, and it's crazy. It's ludicrous to think that we should raise babies on our own and do businesses on our own, you know?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. I think that's been a huge lesson that I've learned in this is receiving help. And I feel great about it now. I think because there's
Good.
just no option, no other option. And but yeah, asking for help is been something that I do frequently now, and I don't feel bad about it. And I feel yeah, like, okay, there's no other way forward. I wouldn't exist if I didn't have support, even if it's support that I pay for, or not. Like I feel so good about that. And I think that's such a huge hurdle for a lot of people to overcome.
Yeah, absolutely. And my advice is get over that as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Seriously.
Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome. So, and also the other thing that you touched on there with systems, it's interesting when we're talking about like, for us, we call it the new paradigm of business, but it's like this new wave of like building life with more consciousness, with making it work for us, like that whole holistic thing, like I've been talking about. But systems are, I think what we would traditionally think of as like a masculine. And so many people are talking about making business more feminine. But I really see that you need both the yin and the yang. Also in human design, we call it leftness and rightness, like flow and creativity and spaciousness, but also systems and structures. And it's really something that I think that we've moved away from thinking about traditional business so much. And we're trying to think about, divine feminine way of building things. But the divine feminine needs the divine masculine. And our business and our structures, like we need the structure, we need the creativity and the flow, we need it all together. So I think that that's something that we're kind of all needing support and coming back to, and seeing that when we have those structures in that container, we have so much more space for the more feminine or rightness aspects of whatever we're doing. So I think that that's another thing that people are really excited to learn, because they see that it supports us so much and we can go so much further when we have that.
Absolutely. Yep. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about how people can work with you and what some of your favorite like offerings are in this current moment, or what you're most excited to help people with next.
Well, I've got my podcast, The Melissa Ambrosini Show. Come and listen to that and subscribe to that. I would love that so much. I've got my 4 books if you want to come and read any of my books. So SheLaunch as well. Just go to SheLaunch.com and that will help you create the business of your dreams without the burnout. I've also got She Leads, which is our software company that is like all the tech that you need for your online business. And then another company that we've created is called Leads Genius, which helps you get leads for your business. So we can link to all of those in the show notes. But we've also got a retreat coming up in August in Australia that Nick and I are doing together. The first time we're kind of coming together to do a
Cool.
retreat together. Yeah, it's called The Upgrade. And it is going to upgrade your health, wealth, and your relationships. So we're really excited about that. But yeah, we're going to be doing more in-person stuff like with his music and spiritual wisdom and things like that. So yes, just come and check everything out on my Instagram at Melissa Ambrosini or on my website, melissaambrosini.com. We'd love to see you
I
there.
I love it. So many fun ways to check in with you. And I love these new offerings that you're creating, how it's weaving together the totality of all of your gifts and all of the magic of who you all are. I love it so much. So, Melissa, it's been such a pleasure to connect with you today. I feel like this conversation has been really inspiring, and a lot of people at home are probably feeling their wheels turning and getting excited to kind of ask themselves deeper questions about their dream life and what's next for them. So, I really want to thank you for coming on today and sharing your wisdom with us.
Oh, thank you so much, beautiful ladies. It's been a pleasure, always a pleasure chatting to you, and can't wait till next time.
Thank you for tuning in with us today. If you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe to follow along and learn more about human design.